Neck tension is a critical aspect of precision rifle cartridge reloading. In this video, we're going to talk about why that's the case. We're going to do some no-nonsense science showing what the effect of mandreling has on virgin brass. And we're also going to introduce you to Redding's new precision expanding die and mandrels. Hey guys, Gavin Gear here from UltimateReloader.com. It is true. Neck tension is super important when it comes to precision rifle reloading. Why is that the case? Well, there's a couple things. One, the slip fit of the bullet in the case neck will have an effect on your SD, your ES, and potentially even the group size. It's an interesting science, but it's an interference fit, meaning the brass case neck needs to be slightly smaller than the bullet. And the relative slip fit, that interference fit value, how much the case neck is smaller than the OD of the bullet, needs to be very constant. Brass does vary. And factory brass frequently has undersized necks by at least a few thou in some cases. This can result in excessive neck tension when you're seating your bullets. You might have noticed a ring where the seater plug is pushing the bullet down, or even worse, a sort of indented crimp line where that seater plug contacts the bullet. This is definitely not a good thing. It's going to alter the BC of the bullet. It's going to be another variable. It's going to reduce the ballistic effectiveness of the cartridges that you're reloading, and you definitely don't want that. So traditional reloading dies might have an expander ball. An expander ball can have different dynamics and different effects. So here at Ultimate Reloader, our preferred way to control neck tension and the inside diameter of the case neck area of the shell casing is to use Mandrel dies. Redding just came out with their precision expanding die and series of mandrels. This is a really great setup. Mandrels are available in half thou increments, starting 1/2 thou under bullet diameter, going all the way down to 3 thou under bullet diameter. So for a 243, you're going to start at 242.5 and go all the way down 3 under the 243 down to 240. And so I've got a couple different dies and mandrel sets here. One for 22 cal and one for 6 millimeter, and we're going to use both of those in the story. So the die is really simple. You've got the die body itself. You've got the actual mandrel that comes with the die, which is going to be by default 1 thou under nominal bullet diameter. So for a 243 or 6 millimeter, it's going to be a 242 that comes with the die. That slips down in, and then you're going to just crank down the plug so that it contacts the mandrel, holds it firmly in place, and then we can kind of preserve that setting. Now the setup on this is super simple. I'm going to go over to the T7 here. We're just going to start the die down, raise the ram all the way to the top, and then keep cranking the die down until it hits the show holder. And then we're just going to preserve that setting. We could use pliers to lock that ring in place. So that's a brief overview of the die. We've got it set up. Now let's put it to the test. Okay, so we got our 6 millimeter expanding mandrel die set up. And what I've got here is some of the new Lapua 6GT brass. I picked Lapua brass for this story because it does come with undersized necks. If we take a brand new piece of brass, this is right out of the packaging. I have a 240 mandrel here, 0.240 inches, and it's a slip fit. So the case neck is about 3 thou under. I want that closer to 1 thou under. So hence this being a good scenario to show you. Before we go ahead and mandrel the virgin brass, we're actually going to apply some graphite lube. This is Imperial graphite lube, and we always use this when we're doing mandreling. So I'm going to take 5 of these. We'll apply some graphite lube to the neck area. I've got my loading block labeled here with the mandreled and what will be non-mandreled brass. We're going to compare in an interesting way here in a minute. Okay, so I just applied the neck lube. We'll go ahead and run these through the mandrel. That is nice and smooth. I like the feel of that. Okay, so those are our mandrel necks. You can see here, I've got that labeled on my loading block. The no M is going to be these right here. Okay, I'm gonna set up for my test. Okay, so here it is. We've got the amp press from Annealing made perfect. This is gonna give us profiles for bullet seating force compared to distance. But before we do that, I did get some pin gauges out. And for the non-mandreled brass, we're right at about the 240 mark. So we can get that in, and that's just right at 240. And then for the mandreled, the 241 pin slips with just a bit of rattle, and then the 242 pin doesn't really go in. It actually will just start. So we're probably just under 242. Okay. And so what we're gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and put some dry lube, this mica lube, on the virgin cases that are not mandreled, just so that we have a fair comparison with our bullet seating force profiles. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this non-mandreled brass, make sure I'm using the right ones. We're going to go ahead and seat bullets. We're using a Burger 109 here. And so I've got a non-mandreled case here. We'll just go ahead and do 5 of these to see what kind of a profile we're going to see. So checking in at the halfway point here, we've seated 5 bullets in the non-mandreled brass, and we see the forces are kind of all over the place. So I'm super curious to see for our mandreled brass how this will compare. So let's do another 5. Wow. Okay, right away we can see the forces are much lower, and look how much smoother that is. That is absolutely amazing. A lot less of the jaggy lines on there. So we'll do 4 more of these. Okay, the results are in. It's pretty amazing. So all of the 5 mandreled cases resulted in bullet seating forces that were very smooth, and they're clustered very, very tight, as in extremely consistent compared to the non-mandreled brass, which we can see here is literally all over the place. What does that mean? That means when you shoot the cartridges, you're going to see better consistency with the Mandrel necks? Absolutely. It's appropriate neck tension in that we have about a 1,000th slip fit, and it's going to be consistent. And so that should help to tighten up our extreme spread and our standard deviation on velocity. Next, let's look at some 22 caliber results. Okay, so I've got some Lapua 223 Remington virgin cases here. We're going to go ahead and put dry neck lube on all of those. I'm going to swap the dies. We'll Mandrel half of them and run them through the amp press again. I'm going to get going on this. Okay, so we have 5 that are mandreled with the dry neck lube, and we have 5 that are not mandreled also with the dry neck lube. I'm gonna go ahead and get my die converted, and we'll go ahead and seat some bullets. All right, so I've got my die adjusted. We are ready to do some mandreling. Starting with the non-mandreled again. Do 5 of these. Okay, so this is really interesting. We definitely see forces that are going up quite a bit, it looks like. And there's definitely not very much smoothness going on, but the non-smooth behavior is fairly consistent compared to what we saw with the 6GT. Super interesting. So now let's take the mandreled brass and let's see what happens when we seat bullets here. Should be quite a bit lower and should be smoother. And wow, that is definitely the case here. You might be wondering, why is the line going up at a pretty much linear slope? Well, that's because the amount of surface area between the bullet and the neck is increasing linearly as the seating plug gets driven down. So that definitely makes sense. Let's do the last 4 and see how they all compare. Just what we thought. Look at the consistency there and look at the smoothness there. And if we look at peak forces, you know, for the first 5 we had 97, 129, 132, 94, 142, kind of all over the place and pretty high. And then for the last 5 we had 36.9, 40, 47, 47, 49. That's just absolutely amazing. And you can definitely feel it when you're seating bullets, whether it be on a press with a conventional die or with a manual arbor press die. So I think this makes a really good case for mandreling your necks. So that was a fun test. I'll have to say that brass mandreled really smooth, both for the 6GT and for the 223 Remington. One thing I didn't mention is all of the different calibers and options that are available. In fact, if you click through to the article, I'll link to this, which is a PDF that Reading Reloading has provided with all of the info. Here's the calibers: 22 cal, 243 6mm, 25 caliber, 6.5, 270 or 6.8, 28 caliber, which is 7mm, 30 caliber, and 33 or 8.6. So within each of these calibers, there are 6 total mandrels available. 1 at a half thou under nominal bullet diameter, and then it goes all the way down to -0.003 of an inch compared to bullet diameter. And what we saw here was a very drastic change in the behavior of bullet seating. It's much smoother, it's much lower forces. That's going to help prevent the marking on the bullet where the seating stem is pushing it down. It's going to help it not get indented, ruining your ballistic coefficient. But it also should definitely tighten up our SD and ES when we're shooting, and that is definitely something that's going to help, especially with long-range shooting. So this has been a great test. I'm really looking forward to using these dies in our reloading. This is a really top-notch product, and I think if you try it, you'll see just how smooth these mandrels are in use, and it's really nice to have that half-thou increment option available within each of these calibers. What I'd like to know is, what do you think about the new precision expanding die from Reading Reloading? Do you already have one? Are you thinking about getting one? Drop a comment and we'll see you there in the comments section. Lots more Reading content coming up, so make sure you're subscribed with notifications. That concludes this video, and that means it's time to wrap it up. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you're watching Ultimate Reloader on TV and want to take advantage of free resources, exclusives, and hot deals, just hold your camera phone up to the QR code, tap on the link, fill out the information, boom, you're getting Ultimate Reloader emails. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Also, we're on Facebook, YouTube, Rumble, where we've got unrestricted content, and Instagram. Make sure to follow us on all those channels. Ultimate Reloader also has a commercial solutions division serving law enforcement, the military, and the gun industry. We have some unique capabilities, including a comprehensive suite of recoil testing and evaluation capabilities, trigger profiling, and more. Thanks again for watching.